Hi, I'm David Anderson, Director of Technology and Solutions Marketing with vArmour. Today we wanted to talk to you a little bit about how vArmour can actually help with your security management lifecycle. So by now you may have seen kind of what we see here on the left is kind of a typical vArmour deployment. We have vArmour in a hypervisor environment and we're protecting each one of the workloads. So the first thing we want to talk about is actually how we utilize vArmour to help prevent things from occurring within your infrastructure. Now that we're in the hypervisor and virtual environment within the data center, the first thing that we want to be able to do is manage our risk by reducing our attack surface and basically isolating and segmenting these workloads so it makes it harder for somebody to actually move around within the environment freely. And if you talk to somebody that does penetration testing for a living, one of the first things they'll say that makes their job harder is a properly segmented environment. So the first thing we want to do is take advantage of that. Let's segment things out. Let's create a smaller attack surface and help prevent things from occurring within your virtual infrastructure. So the next thing we want to talk about is detection. So vArmour DSS Deception allows us to increase our detection capabilities across the data center environment. Now within vArmour DSS Deception, we have the concept of a deception point. That deception point is simply a workload that is running deception services. These services can include things like SQL, maybe SMB, Telnet, and any other service that we want to implement there. Now, within deception, what we're doing is we are creating a larger detection footprint so we can actually gather intelligence off of these different services that are running within the data center. Now, how do we do that? Well, the first thing that we want to point out and talk about is how we get traffic to these. Now, because vArmour is actually implemented in controlling the traffic to and from and between the workloads within a hypervisor, we can actually set a policy that directs traffic to these deception services. So let's take an example. Let's say that within your organization you have a policy that's been implemented to basically disable Telnet within your data center. So what do we want to do? We have a deception service running for Telnet, and so we have a policy that says, you know what, this is turned off. If I do see anything over Telnet, I want to redirect it to my deception service and kind of monitor it and see what's going on. So with that in mind, I can take any Telnet traffic I see that's coming in into my environment, and I'm redirecting that over to my deception service for Telnet. Now I can kind of look and see what's happening, where that's being sourced from, and gather intelligence off of that. Another great example is around SMB. So let's say I have a workload within my data center that's sourcing SMB and it's looking for a share and trying to connect over SMB. So I have a policy that sees that come in, and any SMB traffic sourced from there, I actually am redirecting over to my SMB deception service. Now I can look at things like what the file name is that's being uploaded, the file extension. I can gather intelligence around that and determine what to do as part of that. Now, all of that gives me better detection because now I'm able to see what's occurring across all of these different services. The next thing I can do in order to actually increase my detection even further is within my data center, let's say I have a bunch of unallocated IP addresses just sitting idle. Let's say I have 100,000 IP addresses that are currently unallocated. What I can do utilizing deception is turn those into what looks like 100,000 vulnerable workloads within my environment. Now, I've got 100,000 vulnerable workloads, or what appears to be that, within my environment, maybe all on a single deception point, utilizing and running all of these deception services that I have available. And now I get even greater detection because I've got all of these working for me. Not only am I seeing things within my infrastructure, I'm seeing things within deception, and I'm gathering all of that and to create better detection. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is actually being able to respond. So now that I've seen some things occurring, and let's say that in this case I see something strange happening, or I see something that is kind of strange enough for me to take notice of around SMB. So I see what the source is within my infrastructure, and I can go in now straight from deception and I can quarantine, let's say, a host in this case, where that's being sourced from. I can still allow it to maintain its connection, but I'm isolating it and quarantining it off straight from deception back into my vArmour policy. Now I can start my investigation and I can go in and start to dig in and see what's occurring there. Now the next thing that we want to talk about is around being able to predict. And once you have all of this deployed, you're able to get a lot of information off of your application flows within your virtual environment, to and from and between your workloads, and all the layer 7 data that you're able to gather off of this. That, along with all of the intelligence information I'm gathering off of deception, I can use in combination with other services that I have available to me within my security environment to actually look, as part of my prediction model, use that to create an update so I can prevent things from occurring within the environment. By running vArmour in my virtual infrastructure, I'm able to gather a lot of rich data around layer 7 application flows to and from and between my workloads. You're gathering intelligence information off of deception. That data that I'm receiving off of all of that allows me to go in and actually utilize that with other tools that I have available to create better prediction and then also update to prevent things from occurring within my environment. Thanks for listening and thanks for joining. I'm David Anderson with vArmour.